Three, two, one. Hey everyone, we're so glad that you're here. I'm Roger and I'm the president of Restaurant Rockstars. And with me today, Dyson Barnett, and he is the CEO of Fan Connect. How are you, Dyson?
Doing great, Roger. Always good to be here with you, buddy.
So it's awesome, guys, because we get to collaborate on a lot of projects. And the most important project right now is helping restaurant owner, operators, and managers run a stronger, more profitable restaurant business. So today's presentation really is about what we believe are three foundational elements. We call them fundamentals that are the most important and will have the greatest impact on your restaurant's success. So with that, let's move on. So Dyson, there's just three things, and you're an expert on number three, and I've really focused on number one and two, so why don't we just take it from the top? So the first thing you need in your restaurant, cost controls and maximizing profit, and that falls into so many different elements that could be confused by operators. Like inventory is a super important thing, right? And you and I mean, you were in the restaurant business for years and years, and I'm still in the restaurant business after 2 decades, and I'm a coach and consultant. I talk to restaurants all the time, and they think taking inventory is just walking around figuring out what they need to order that week. It's not valuing what their inventory on hand is worth at any given time and then calculating a true food and beverage cost. So that's why that's super important. There's also what we call the daily break even, which is what you need to know. How much does it cost you to open the doors to your restaurant every single day? Just to turn the key, turn the lights on, bring your staff in, and have it ready to serve customers, whether you serve one person, 100 people, or 500 people. What does that cost you? And that's important because not every restaurant is busy 7 days a week. And a lot of restaurant owners think that they have to be open 7 days a week, even if they're not even breaking even on certain days, just for consistency. And what they don't know is they'll lose a lot less money by closing a day. Maybe it's a Monday after a busy weekend when they're not going to do any business versus staying open. So, calculating your true food, beverage, and labor costs, super important. Daily break even, having budgets, all these things are really important. The second thing, you and I were just having a conversation about staff training. You have customers, and your customers literally buy marketing solutions from you. And then what's the first thing they need to do? They need to bring their staff up to speed on what that's going to do for the restaurant and how it's going to bring new customers in and how it's going to create loyalty and affinity with customers. That is so, so important. So staff training isn't just about which fork you use with your salad and which one for the entree and hiring new employees and getting them up to speed with the side work. It's literally shadowing your A players, your stars, and having product and restaurant knowledge so that they can not only deliver amazing dining experiences, but to sell. So that's my piece on number one and two. Why don't you talk about marketing firepower? It's all about driving new and repeat business, building that powerful loyalty, and that's what you do best. You're the expert.
Yeah, you know what? Just real quickly, I want to just go back to
Yeah,
point
please do.
number one for you.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, my grandma used to own a really cool restaurant. It was more like, your 50s type diner. So she served, everyday good food, right? And she used to tell all of us all the time, don't you dare, you know, throw away those empty sugar packs. You better not bring 3 of them to a table. You ask how many they need. And we used to laugh about that, right? Well, when I opened up my first place, Roger, that echoed in my ears.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I remember telling myself, you know what? Please don't bring the sugar and milk to a table when they ask for coffee. Ask them if they take milk, cream, sugar, sweet and low, whatever, and bring 1 or 2 with you. That 2 cents sounds like, nothing, right? Do it to, times 1,000.
Right.
Do it times 2,000,
Yes.
right? Oh, and by the way, don't just scrape the dish and let that knife fall into the trash. We're talking about money here, right? So it's kind of interesting that how we control costs is there's so many ways to do it. And, sometimes we really just have to think. But getting into this marketing firepower, driving that new business, getting repeat business, as a restaurateur, I always think to myself, how do I get more butts in my seats? I always think that. And I look into, I have a budget every month that I know how much money I'm going to spend. And with that, I think to myself, gee, do I want to take the $1,000 and find new customers, or do I want to take the $1,000 and get my customers come back? And I think to myself, well, gee, if I get my customers to come back, I know that that $1,000 is a multiplier, and I can make a lot of money. And it's amazing, um, us turning to selling these products and services to our restaurant owners. It's amazing how few of us have a budget. It's amazing to me how few of us are really focused on the repeatable business and how to drive word of mouth.
The
And I
lifetime
think we could
value of
talk
a
about that.
customer, right? I mean, you can speak to that. What is the lifetime value of the customer? Because so many operators, as you well know, mistakenly spend tens of thousands of dollars a year on traditional marketing.
Hmm.
They might think about, oh, if I do a radio commercial, it's going to bring people in. If I put
Hmm.
myself on TV, if I put my ads in the newspaper, and it's like all those things are not trackable. What you do is trackable, and it's got a proven return on investment. And then when you spend all of your money marketing to existing customers, that is so much more effective than constantly looking for new customers to come in the door, right?
Oh yeah, there's that, and this trackability.
Yeah.
It's amazing when I sit down with operators, and we know, our average ticket was X, let's say $30, and all of a sudden 2 months later we're looking at it and it's Y at 41. That's a telltale. That tells them it certainly is way more profitable to go and get this existing customer to come back and sit down, dine with us. And you know what? It's really not about discounting either. So many people get lost in that.
Yes, they
And
do.
I just say to people, I'm like, listen, you know, there's a difference between a discount and a difference in getting somebody to try a pricier meal by giving them the reason to do it. So if my average ticket's 20 and I'm doing a two top, that means people are spending 10 each. Why not tell them, hey, listen, here's my sirloin. You can get the sirloin with mushrooms and onions and that butter on top. And normally $16.99, you get it at $13.99. You just increase your average ticket by $4, people. I mean, that's how that works.
And you
And we have to really
value.
understand that. And the value, of course, right?
The value proposition versus a discount, where if you give somebody a discount, then they're never likely to feel that it's worth full price in the future if they got it cheaper once. And that's just going to undermine your whole business if you fall down that trap.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you fall, it's all about what do you want to do for experience, and it's all about how much money do you want to make, and it's all about getting that customer trained. You don't want to train them for the wrong reason. You want to train them for the right reasons.
So we've covered the first three, and we're going to get into these in more detail. But again, cost controls and profit, staff training, and marketing firepower. So let us rock your restaurant. I mentioned when we first opened up the call that, you and I are experts combined. How much experience do we have combined? Something like 30 or 40 years of experience.
At least, yeah. It's
Right?
sometimes it's scary to count, but
It
yeah,
really is.
it's there.
And what you really need, operators and managers, are brand champions that understand what it's like to be operators, what your pressing challenges and pain points are, and how to really cut through that clutter to really focus on building new and repeat business, increasing cash flow, training the staff to double and even triple your sales. And we'll talk about how that's possible, maximizing profits. And what's the most important thing, Dyson, right? Time, freedom, and peace of mind. I mean, you
Oh
talk
yeah.
to operators all the time, one, because you're in that business, two, because you take a personal interest in your customer's business. And then I personally coach restaurants. And what is the number one thing that constantly comes up? They feel tied to their business. Like it's a trap. It's not pleasurable anymore because the systems don't exist, because their staff doesn't have their back, because they feel like if I leave, everything's just going to go out the window, right? And
Absolutely.
I learned a long time ago that you've got a system. If you can leave for a day, a week, a month, and when you come back, your restaurant is just as profitable, just as successful, if not more so, than before you left. That's when you know you've got systems. And that's really what the time freedom and the peace of mind is. And in order to do that, I think everyone needs what we can offer.
Oh yeah, you know what, Roger? When I was younger, my grandparents, my grandpa always used to say this. The reason why we don't go on vacation is because we don't want the inmates to run the asylum. So,
I know. Well,
it's a challenging business, and without a system, um, I say it a lot these days. Good luck. I mean, I do say that.
I love the word empowerment. As experts in your corner, we've been there. We've built these systems. We have turnkey systems now that will do what we're talking about. But once you have the right, I call it the dream team, once you've got the right people in place, if you empower them to use good judgment, to treat your place as if they owned it and had to pay for it. And then the kicker is recognition and rewards. If you create this family atmosphere of employees versus just staff that are going to run the prison, then the real key is recognizing and rewarding people for being empowered, making those solid decisions, building your business, being brand ambassadors for your business, and then making great money and having this team where they feel like family. It's like going to work is fun. It's not a job. It's fun. And we're family, and the rising tide theory, really lifts all the boats. So that's really what we're talking about here. So let's talk about restaurant failure, right?
Oh
Failure's
boy.
been huge, especially pre-COVID failure. The failure rate was high. The COVID thing has killed a lot of restaurants. One, because the systems weren't in place. Two, because obviously no one could have predicted what this was going to do in terms of government limitations on our business and 50% capacities and all that kind of stuff. Sure. But if you're listening to this today, and if you're still in business, now is more important than ever to think about these systems, right? So restaurant failures, let's not think about that now. Let's think about paving the way to future success. It's really simpler than you think. Okay, so the three systems again: cost controls and profits, training, training. I call it daily training. And I'm not talking about a half an hour a day, Dyson. It's like we talk about 5 minutes every single day. And it's not necessarily tasting people on the chef's new special. It's about what's your game plan? What's your strategy? What are you going to talk to the customers about? How are you going to entertain them, educate them, inform them, and make suggestions that are going to increase your sales? The product knowledge. Maybe they just brought in your birthday product, right? And now they need to be educated in your birthday club. It's a huge thing. So all of these things are part of the daily training that takes very little time, yet it makes a maximum impact on the guest's experience and your staff's education. And then again, we're going to talk a little bit more about extreme customer loyalty, because I know that you really focus on that.
Yep.
So go ahead. The stakes are too high. The margin of error in the business is too slim. We don't want anyone to recreate the wheel, right? Don't want to close
No,
doors.
no. I mean, there's no reason to recreate the wheel. I mean, most of us know that. I mean, you open up the doors. You're doing this because of whatever reason, but you kind of just sit down and rethink what you're doing, right? You don't have to recreate the wheel. Take a few moments, talk to us, but really share with your staff. Really important. Just share with them what is it that you want to do. Why is your restaurant there? And just recognizing that, how do you get more time is really about having systems. How do you get back to that enjoyment that you had when you first opened, the very first day? I mean, just
Yeah, the passion.
rekindling those ideas.
Right. We want you to get the passion back. And the only way you're going to do that is by having everything dialed so that you can literally walk away from your place for a day or a week or a month. And when you just mysteriously walk back in the door, you're literally watching your customers smile and your staff shine and the whole place running like you want it to run. Like that's what I did. I mean, it took me a couple of years to totally dial in my operations. And then once I did, I ran them for the next almost decade and a half, where I was a customer in my restaurant. And I'm sure you did the same when you were an owner. And it was so great to I wasn't anonymous to the staff, but clearly I was anonymous to a lot of the customers. And I just sat down with my family like any other customer, and I just watched the magic happen. And that's what you want. That's what every owner operator hopes to see. the magic happening on a daily basis, and you are literally the guy with, your finger on the pulse of the restaurant, the big picture view from 30,000 feet, but you know that you can trust your team because they've been empowered. I think that is the most powerful idea in this whole business.
Absolutely.
So the truth is, whether you're starting your very first place, and we're talking to you because now there is so much opportunity because of the COVID pandemic. There are so many restaurants that have closed. There's so many restaurant spaces for lease that are open. There's so many restaurants for sale at bargain prices. If you ever thought about being in this business, now is a great time. But if you've been in this business a while and you've weathered the storm, now's the time to really kick it into high gear and really dial in those systems. Because again, absolutely no room for error. So tell us, how can we do this, Dyson?
Okay, so there's building your brand outside of your four walls and inside of your four walls is really, really important. And the first thing I tell everybody, get a customer list. It's that simple.
Right.
Have a customer database. These people coming there that share life events, birthdays, special occasions, just breaking bread at your restaurant for the very first time.
Yep, right.
These are people you want to come back. So how do you get them to come back? You do that by collecting names. So you collect their name, their email address, their mobile number. I have so many restaurateurs say, oh my gosh, do you know how hard that is? I said, well, of course I do. That's why we created this system. This system is amazing for you because it does it at arm's length. You don't even have to think about it. You have technology that puts it all there for you, from your Facebook to your Wi-Fi to, that experience at the ending of the dinner where you're about to pay that check. And, once you leave, you haven't been there a while. That's what this is all about. Collecting names so that you can kick butt. And then maintaining a connection to these customers of yours is so critical. That top of the mind awareness. I mean, think about it. I don't know if all the restaurateurs on this call, or better yet, that are going to be listening to this in the future, know that we as a consumer can only think of 6 places to eat in 30 seconds. Why is your business not number 5,
Top
4,
of mind.
3, 6?
Mm-hmm.
Keep that in mind. You need that. And then once you do that, you've collected these names, you're connecting with your customers, you do get to start driving the business. You do start, filling that void of the lost customers that you experience over the year or years. And you'd be surprised what your word of mouth is going to be like. You'll actually know what it's like because you're driving it. There's nothing worse than not knowing what people think or say about you. So we provide you a survey so that you really understand. And then at the end of the day, here's the big kicker. You cash in. So collect, get those people in that database, connect with them, keep on poking at them, remind them. It doesn't have to be specials all the time. It could be about a new menu item, or new birthdays, the back room that you've never seen for parties of 20 or more. All these opportunities, catering. There's lots of different opportunities that you have to take advantage of. And that way, you start moving the needle to how much money you make. So it's really important you get that powerful system in place, someone managing it for you, and you recognizing the return on investment.
And best of all, it's all trackable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you have a system that's not trackable, get rid of it.
Yep.
I mean,
Right.
that's not a system. That's something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, at the end of the month, your alarm system, it's a system because it arms every single window for breakage. You could put it on your cash drawer. You could put it, on one of those bill returns that you're being robbed or whatever, but it works because at the end of the month, you get not only a bill, but you also get information on how to secure your premise. And it's really important. And that leads us into the next one, yeah, it's all fun and good to collect, connect, and cash in, but there's a problem with that if your dream team doesn't exist. So staff training, I'm sure, Roger, you can speak all about that.
Well, most restaurants, if they train at all, it's literally on service. But rarely do I come across a restaurant that trains on service and salesmanship, and the two go hand in hand. And to put even more emphasis on that, when they train their staff, they train each individual position just in the basics of that job. So they'll train a host how to answer the phone and how to take your name on a list if there's a wait time, and how to use the beeper system and just the basics of the job, right? And then there's obviously bus staff. And what do they train them? Okay, be very pleasant when you approach the table. Ask if you can remove that plate before just taking half a salad away. Be very courteous, but it doesn't go beyond that. And obviously the servers, if you commit things to memory, make sure that you don't forget any of the key details. And if you have a problem with memory, use the pad. I never trained on that. I mean, we're talking about order takers here, but this is the stuff I see. So you've got four key positions on the floor in the front of the house. You've got the hostesses, you've got the bussers, you've got the servers, you've got the bartenders. And most restaurants think that the servers and the bartenders are those generating income for the restaurant. Well, I got a paradigm shift for you. My training system trains the entire front of house team to recognize opportunity, to be so well versed in the menu and in the restaurant, to create interactions with customers, regardless of your position, that make suggestions that translate into sales that we know the customer will enjoy and appreciate. You and I are on the same page, Dyson. We don't believe that we're serving food and drink in restaurants. We believe that we're providing entertainment and special experiences, right? Special events, occasions. That's the way every single customer or guest should be approached in a restaurant.
Oh,
So the
yeah.
feature for staff training is literally choreography, where we can complete each other's sentences, and we can a busser can literally make a sale for that server by noticing that that customer, their glass of wine is empty and they may have been sitting there. Maybe they want another drink. And that busser is so well trained, they can say, did you enjoy that glass? May I get you another? Or is there something else that you might like instead? We train people not just to do the basics of the job, but to literally take the service to another level, which translates into double and triple sales. And that's just huge,
Oh,
And
yeah.
then
I
the
mean,
cash flow piece,
I could definitely say when it was my restaurant and or the restaurateurs I work with,
Mhm.
I always try to tell them, let's do an A/B test, right? What I want you to do is not, I want one person to sell and I want the other person not to. So we'll train this one person. It's
Right.
really easy. And we're not going to train the other. And what happens is not even in 2 weeks, that person who hasn't been trained asks to be trained. Why? Because the other person that we just trained is making lots more money than
Right.
this person who's not. And so is your restaurant. Funny story is, we actually tried that in my restaurant. And we used to have this, you dine, and it was kind of like a Cracker Barrel type thing. You dine, you come up to the front of a store and pay for it. So we had taffies, gum, whatever, shirts, all kinds of things, right? And one register would ask, do you have one of our shirts? The other register wouldn't. And what we noticed was the one register that did had sales of 417% more. 417%. So
Amazing. Oh, yeah.
training your staff and letting them know what to do and how to do it, the return on that investment it's invaluable. I
No,
don't I don't think you could put a number to it
you
because it
can't.
just keeps on growing and growing.
Yep. I mean, think about the power of what we're talking about here. We talked earlier about the inventory and about the daily break even. Those are simple financial systems that are really important. But even more
Mm,
important, the thing that I've noticed that has the greatest impact is menu design. So many restaurants design their menus and the profits are haphazard. They're all over the place. And they don't recognize the fact that some items might be contributing a very large profit and some are contributing very little profit at all. And they may be filling their seats and they're wondering why their bank account is not growing because the menu overall is not profitable. And the spread or the profit difference in each item should literally be pennies and not dollars. And what I see is dollars, and that's dollars going out the window. So when we're talking about a complete financial system, we have a turnkey series of tools with audio tutorials that explain exactly what all these critical financial, systems are, what the numbers mean, where to find them, how to plug them into fully automated turnkey spreadsheets that we provide. And then literally at a moment's glance, week after week after week, you'll know what your daily break even is, if your menu is contributing maximum profit, what your food and beverage and labor costs are, what your budgets are. It's simple, but you need this stuff. Otherwise, you're just shooting from the seat of your pants and you're running a haphazard business and your bank account's not growing. And chances are, you're on the verge of collapse. So I don't want to scare anyone. Whether you're starting a new restaurant, just know this is important stuff. And if you're still there and if you survived COVID, these systems are going to help you get even more profitable. So Dyson, tell us about this. This is really, really powerful stuff. Your customers coming back, right? Twice as
Right.
often.
That's what you want as a restaurateur.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, your house, family always keeps on coming back to the table, right? You treat your customers like kings and queens, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers. Watch what happens. It's going to get your customer to come back 2 times more often. It's that place of familiarity. They treat me extremely well. Then your food takes the next piece. So we get all that. If we do this right, you get your customers spending 4 times as much.
Yeah.
So kings and queens, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, mothers and fathers. That's what you look for in how and what you do, how you treat people, so you are commanding that repeatable business. Because let's face it, the people coming into your restaurant that have dined with you before are going to spend, on average, 64% more.
Unbelievable. That's awesome.
Imagine your customer. I mean, what's the difference between $1 and $1.64? I mean, that's huge.
It is.
I mean, just to, I always tell all of our customers, just take out a calculator, figure out how many checks you have, figure out what your average, check size is, number of people in that party, and then you'll know how many people come to your restaurant in a year. So let's just say it's 3,000, for instance, just real basic math, and it's 2.3, by the way, is the average per table. If that's true, that's 6,900 people that come to your restaurant, and you obviously have 12 months in a year, right? That's 82,800 people. What if they only spent $1 more? Just one.
Oh, there's 80 plus thousand more sales, even if it was just
Right.
$1.
And you can do this with the help of myself and Roger, all these years of combined experience, but not just the experience, systems,
Yeah, absolutely.
technology, and the background to help you achieve this. It's not uncommon for a restaurant to make this kind of money. Actually, yes, it is, because it's only $1. It's more common that they'll come in, if it's 2 times more often, you do that math, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And yes, you can. It's amazing. Yes, you can. It's just simply having a system in place, 2 rock stars, and organization behind you, pushing and supporting you for 2 times more often and 4 times as much. It's not impossible. It's possible.
Love it. So when you hire us, you're getting financial systems, staff training systems, and a complete marketing suite. More customers, more greater affinity. It's that Cheers formula. Everyone's watched that TV show Cheers, but it's like people want to go where everyone knows their name. That's what affinity is about, and that's one of the things you do great. Dyson, it's all about building that intense loyalty where, your restaurant feels like their restaurant. So optimizing social media, the branding, increasing sales, all that stuff. And then again, we talked earlier, if you're just starting your first restaurant because now's the opportunity, you found a space, you think that you can be successful in this business, we're also providing you with a complete startup system. Literally everything you need to open the doors, everything you need to know and do to open the doors. It's like a roadmap to your success before you open, and then once you're open, what you do next and next and next to run that most successfully and most profitably. So we're talking about customer acquisition and retention, repeat business, the sales and service training, the daily break even, the food, beverage, and labor costs, performance reviews, right? You're going to have staff on hand. And building that dream team is all about having key results, not just a job description, but making crystal clear what everyone is responsible for, not only in the basics of the job, for being empowered and going above and beyond and building your business and being a brand ambassador, and then monthly consultations as well. So experts in your corner. Dyson, tell us all about Fan Connect and all the different packages here and what's included.
Yeah, sure. So Fan Connect is all about helping you build a community of raving fans in your restaurant and maintaining a connection to them, i.e. Fan Connect. So we have different packages that help you along the journey. Like Roger was saying a few moments ago, maybe you're new. So you're going to want a basic package to get in your business right now so that you don't make the mistake of having to learn it later by lost sales, lost revenues, profitability, things of that nature. So you're going to get a system that gives you a virtual marketing team that helps you keep in touch with your customers through touch points. And then, of course, the must-haves. So you'll be using the mobile marketing systems because everyone has a phone. You'll be using email because it's a very easy way to not only describe what you're doing, but put pictures in it as well and have a little bit more breadth to the communications. And then, of course, the finances 101. That's where you get Roger, working with you to do the finance 101, right? This is very important. It's not something you want to skip. Now, if you've been running for more than at least, 2 years or more, you're going to want to showcase your business. So we have a Showcase Plus package where we literally start becoming your brand ambassador. And what this basically does is you get all the benefits of basic, but a lot more. So obviously your business has grown. You get that virtual marketing team. And now we start using social media, tapping the customers near and around your business effectively every 7 days. Making sure your email campaigns and your mobile messaging is working to optimization on a weekly basis. Everybody says, well, how often should I talk to my customers? As much as you can,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, there's no problem to that. You also can get some flyer design. I definitely think that occasionally you should hire someone to police your area within 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles. Get a flyer made here, in-house profession designed. Get your menus delivered to your customers' phones via text message, right? And then get a virtual server training. Because if we're doing all this stuff to get the crowds coming in, your staff needs to know what to do. Then, as we keep on growing, now maybe you're 5, 6, 7 years old, or you have a big environment, a nice sized property, you're going to want to use either premium or professional services. And that's because your guest count is much greater than the other two. So we're going to give you more. You get the Restaurant Academy, the finances, consultations, online ordering, a very large, massive database, your birthday direct and Facebook birthdays. All that is going to make it so you don't have to spend another penny on marketing your business. And that you keep your head on tight, right? That you know your business. You know whether or not you're making it or breaking it. And you know what? If you know you're breaking it, ask Roger to come to the rescue. Get that menu engineering. See what's wrong with the financial picture of the restaurant and fix it before it's too late. Okay? And of course, the professional package, that one is our big package. This is really meant for whether you have multiple locations, large, 80 plus tables in your restaurant, a bar, all these things that come together that create more profitability. So you're definitely going to want to use the professional services to talk to your customers the way you want them to be talked to, your branding to be magnified and amplified to the customer base, and for you to have every bit of information at your fingers that's really going to help you make the right decisions in your restaurant.
Fantastic. Boy, that's pretty robust. I mean, it's literally everything we've learned in that 30 plus years of being in this business, creating those systems so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and then giving you a turnkey package of everything you need to have all of this done for you and to execute so that your guests get an amazing experience that you watch 2 times, the business coming in the door, people coming in more often, spending 4 times as much. I mean, all this stuff is just incredible, right? It's such a value, and that's why we put
Yeah,
it.
what's interesting is, people ask us what's our two of the best things that we do. And I tell everybody it's birthdays and thank yous. Birthdays and thank yous. I mean, it's one thing to come to a table after they just had this great meal, right? You served them like you wouldn't believe, and they had just a fantastic experience. And your server comes and says, "Thank you, folks. Come back and see us." We have proof that when you send them a email or text message, the following day, you get a 64.5% response in open rate and greater than 35% return.
That's incredible. They say if you get like 5 to 10% open rate, you're doing well. So that really puts things in perspective.
Birthday, by the way, is in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
That's awesome.
I mean, who doesn't open an email that says, "Happy birthday, Roger"? I mean, why wouldn't you open that
Of
birthday?
course. That's the key right there. Yeah. I mean, you're reveling in your special day, and now here's a way that you can really enjoy your day. That's awesome.
That's right. That's
Kill.
right.
All right. So tell us how we can get this.
Okay, so it's really simple. First off, get it. I mean, it's. I know that sounds silly, maybe a little corny, but you've heard us for past couple of moments now, showing you different ideas, talking about different things at work. So if you want this, just go to getfanconnect.com or just call us at 800-775-6751. You can reach me directly. I'd love to talk with you and share with you. My extension is 2751. I'll definitely share Roger. Of course, Roger, you can share your contact as well. But it starts with you picking up the phone or emailing us and really just learn something new can be the changing event for your success.
Yeah, and it's as simple as Roger, Roger, at restaurantrockstars.com to get in hold of me. So that's fantastic. Well, this is great, Dyson. I've had a great time talking shop with you, as we always do. And
Yep.
we appreciate everyone listening and watching this, and we hope to work with you soon.
All right, guys, I'm looking forward to talking to you as well. Take care, everyone.
Take care and stay well.